And here we go. Another live show. Another live show is coming down the road of the internet. Yeah. Hey everybody. Checking everything out here. Seems okay here. A little bigger here. And hey everyone. How's everybody doing? So everything looks okay. Hey everybody, welcome aboard. This is the Tech Show number 111, and we are Thursday, April 5th, 2018. Incredible, 111, just crazy. So it's nice to have everybody on board, and hope everybody is well. And yes, it is cold. It's actually supposed to be around plus 10 Celsius in the daytime right now here, and which is what, around 50 Fahrenheit, and it's right now minus 4 Celsius, which is like 25 Fahrenheit or something. It's really cold for this time of year. It's supposed to be much warmer, and we had snow this week. We're going to have snow tomorrow, which is really weird. But the good thing is that when you look at the long term, I saw that maybe next Thursday, Friday, we might reach the plus 20 Celsius, like 70 Fahrenheit. That's going to feel so good. I'm going to tell you that. It almost feels like making the show outside, just for the fun of it. So yeah, no spring this year here. It's really cold, and I mean we've been below normal for the past month. I mean, we had almost no warm temperatures. So cheers, I got some coffee. Yes, it's coffee. And cheers everybody, nice to have you on board. So hello there to Brian Wilson, Tim Robinson, Patrick Manny, Green 9227, Douglas Perry, Shervin Abdullah, nice to have you here. On vacation in Netherlands. Wow. Nice. What do we have? Douglas Elliott, hello there. Christine Bowman, hello there. Sean Robinson, David Walker, Prit Hanand, nice to have you here. Abhishek Sarkar, nice to have you here. Benjamin, nice to have you on board. Everybody, if I haven't said hi, say hello please. I want to say hi to everybody, and it's really good. Yes, this is what I call my morning mug. I take one of those and I'm okay for the rest of the day. But today I thought, nah, it's cold outside, I'm gonna have another one. But this one is half and half. I have half of it is decaf, because if I take 2 of these or 3 of these in a day, I'll be jumping everywhere. Like I always say to people when they tell me, oh, you want to have some coffee? I say, no, 1 every day is enough, because my skeleton is going to get out of my body. So nice to have everybody here. And Paul the Cat just made an entrance and got back out. So he's kind of just walking around right now. And of course, these shows are one of the things that helps me a lot is the donations, of course. In 2017, without the donations, I would not have gone through the year. I would not have been able to be here. I would not be here, actually. So they are really useful. So, of course, if you can spare a little something, please think about it. Really helps me out. And, of course, it's nice to have everyone here. Thanks for those that donated. And, trying to, in every show to try to go out to people that have never donated before, and that love my shows and follow me all the time and can spare a little something. I totally understand that not everybody can give, but so thank you very much for everybody that do. PayPal.me/shortwave, not .com. It's very important. It's not .me. PayPal.me/shortwave. or if you have my Yahoo email that you've used before, it works. Patreon.com/ReadingComputers, and you can join 10 patrons that are right now giving me a little something every month. So it's much welcome, and thank you very much for those that have donated. Zach Antle, hello there. Thank you very much. It's actually all messed up because this is real wool. And I'm the kind of guy that doesn't look at the directions on how to clean stuff. So I just threw it in the washing machine, and it came out all puffed up. And it's not supposed to be exactly like this, but still, I'm going to wear it. I still like it. Rick Sader, nice to have you here. Pretty cool to have everybody on board. And always cool to see everybody on board. So if you have questions, of course, save your questions for later, please, or you can send them at helpwithyourcomputers@gmail.com, and we'll answer them a little later, of course, after the kind of little tech news that we're going to talk about. Mostly my personal observations. One of the things that I like to do here is do a little bit of my personal observations on tech. I think, there's a lot of people doing tech news. I don't want to just the facts. I like to always give my little own way of thinking, whether it's flawed or not, whether you like it or not. It's my little take on the technology. Hey, Sam Gibson, nice to have you here. Bobby Burgess. So, YouTube. Lots of things happening on YouTube this week. It started off, first of all, with, I think it was Monday, when there was there was a problem with YouTube channels. When you would look at the channel, there was a page saying error 500, a server error 500, and it happened, and it's actually did it also on the morning of Tuesday. And I did see it because I was looking at my channel and said, what the heck? Is it my channels only or something? So I started looking at other channels and noticed that it seemed like, well, YouTube said it was just some channels, but what I've looked at seems that it was every channel, and apparently they fixed it up. Of course, the shooting at the YouTube headquarters, which is very sad. It's always something that you find really, really bad, and it's so sad. So it's kind of weird. What happened, and basically, just a deranged woman that wasn't happy with YouTube. I guess there's a lot of those, but even if you can rant a lot against YouTube, from ranting to using a gun and shooting at people, it's kind of a lot. But what was interesting in here, and we're seeing this a lot more, by the way, is the fact that there's more and more fake news around the regular news. And one of the things that happened because somebody sent me, I think it was Bobby Burgess that sent me the link first, and a friend of mine here posted something on my Facebook wall, and I had the live link video feed of, And first of all, you know what? Sometimes I think there should be no chat rooms on live feeds of news events. Because if you look at the chat room, so I was looking, I wasn't home, I was at Microsoft, so I was kind of looking through my phone, the video feed, and of course on the bottom of the screen there was the chat room where people were posting their comments, which, for like 70% of the comments were kind of disturbing comments or idiot comments, stuff like that. And people posting all sorts of fake stuff like, 75 people are dead, and they put a bomb, and why the hell do you say things like that? I mean, come on. But it's not just that. One of the senior managers at YouTube, his account was hacked. They used it to spread fake news. And so it was a hell of a mishmash of fake news and real news and all sorts of things, and basically the news outlets kind of handled it pretty well, because in the mix of bad and good news, they were able to kind of sort through it and say, well, okay, this probably isn't right. But there are more and more of those. And I mean, what's the purpose of sending all that fake news, honestly? Honestly, what's the purpose of that fake news? I don't know. It's just crazy. And more of the news events are with fake news. And I gotta say, I was just hoping that, man, let's just forget about the chat room. It's chat rooms and news events are totally useless. The more and more I look at it, the more it's just there's very little constructive comments or useful comments. And there's always, of course, that let's ban guns, or I like guns, or don't care about guns, or I don't know. News items should not have a chat room. That's it. There's just too much junk in there, anyways. And I saw very, very little usage, real positive usage of a chat room, honestly, in these news items. And of course, it's not like a chat room like here. Here, everybody in the chat room is, there's a moderation. Some of you are moderators, and well, of course, moderate anything that would go back bad through the chat. But YouTube, or the regular news stuff, the regular news outlet, there's no moderation. I mean, all the shit goes through, and it's just bad. Just bad. Kirk Weber, nice to have you here. Pretty cool to have you on board. So, it's just sad. I think there should be no chat room in news events. It's totally useless. Totally useless. I don't know. I was looking at that. It was like, okay, it's just, I was actually searching for a way to remove it from my screen, and I did not find it on the news outlet I was with, because I wanted to, that text going up, from the bottom of the screen to just, not be there. I found it, I hate it. I don't want to read that. I just want to see the actual video, what's happening. That's it. Crazy. And totally, like Tim says, these chat rooms are racist. They are full of bad people that say things that are just, so horrible. And I remember one post that went through fast, really fast. And it's one of the only ones that I kind of remembered of all the mishmash of what's happening was... this chat room is very disturbing. And I saw, okay, yeah, this is totally, when I saw that this chat room is very disturbing, yeah, it is. Totally. So, there shouldn't be any chat rooms for these things. I can tell you that. And it's crazy. And, so racist comments, comments of any kind of, for bad comments from those that are both for or against, weapons or guns. All sorts of, comments, about, different, it was bad. I think we all understand pretty much what I mean. If you've seen a chat room from a news outlet, crazy stuff. Facebook. We're not going to talk much about it, but Facebook is basically we had seen that 50 million accounts were in that data. It's, I see people calling it a data breach, and somebody actually sent me a link on my Facebook wall talking about, people could get money maybe of a lawsuit of some sort. But it's, a data breach is when you get hacked and and you steal data because you were hacked. And this is not what happened. So it's not a data breach. It's more of a breach of you know, a contract, or more of a breach of getting just too much out of what you could get, you know. And basically the breach now is 87 million. Now it's like many more accounts. It's funny, you know, how these companies always come up with a number, and then they have much bigger number. And one of the biggest problems with with that information is, you know, how will they be punished exactly? You know, now there's some lawsuits and everything. But one of the things that I'm always a little sad with these things, I think we should for sure say that they should be punished for billions of dollars, which never happens. Look at the Equifax thing last year. Have any of us heard of any punishment against that company? And they were totally careless. Totally careless. So, I mean, we're not going to see billions of dollars in damages there. You know, we're not seeing anything like that. We're seeing little lawsuits here and there from, you know, class action lawsuits and stuff, but it's crazy. I mean, these companies need to really, really get, you know, there's one thing at least that I like about the European Union. They kick ass. I mean, you do something bad, hey, it's $1 billion. Oh, we don't like what you did here and you didn't fix it? Ah, $2 billion. But in the United States, for some reason, it's a little pat in the back. Don't do it again. Nothing more. Nothing more. Crazy when you think about it. Really crazy when you think about it. I don't know, but some things need to be changed. Yeah, iTunes should be in the store, Prit. And then I saw your question about the iTunes in the Microsoft Store, and it's supposed to be at some point, but there's no date, no official date, no official date. So I don't know. So there's a YouTube stall apparently. Here I see that everything is green, so I don't know exactly what to say because my stream here is okay. But anyways, so maybe just a refresh, some kind of YouTube hiccup. You know, I talked about YouTube, probably didn't like it. So anyways, hey Devil's Drill, Shower South, nice to have you here. So anyways, the iTunes for in the Windows Store is supposed to be here at some point. The last time I heard about it was about, a month ago they talked about it. I saw one news item about it. They're still working on it. It's supposed to be there at some point. So we'll see. We'll see. Okay, equality of men and women in the workplace is always a subject that is debate and debatable. Depends. There's a lot of things that you know, that can change why your salary may not be the same. But you know, honestly, one of the surveys that came out today, which was very interesting. You know, we're talking all the time that women, of course, are not paid equally, and the survey today, and we're talking all the time about women not going into, you know, any IT departments are professionals. And basically, the study says that in the 63% of the time for equal job, it is true that women in IT were paid less than men. It's kind of interesting, you know. I mean, I guess if you have the same job, you should have the same salary. It's just crazy, you know. But you know, it's we gotta be careful also, because there are things, and you know, Zach Cantor was saying, can we agree that some people take the workplace pay gap too far? I believe so. You know, here in Canada, we had the governments had what kind of a pay equity thing where they would actually you know, give an amount to women because they didn't get paid. But there are things that I always find weird. You know, for example, one of the things I hate the most is when somebody treats a job as being a woman's job or a man's job. And here, that's what happened with the governments. What they did is they looked at the jobs that you can have when you work, you know, for the government, and they said, hey, that's a woman's job. So like a secretary, oh, that's a woman's job. We're going to give you an amount because it's a woman's job. You were paid less. But I always find that question weird as, okay, I understand that a lot of the jobs are, you know, were mostly women, but how do you, you know, I don't know. It's kind of weird sometimes. Really weird sometimes. But anyways, this study, very, very well done study, where they did look at, you know, the people doing the people that you know do the exact same job, and typically, and 63% of the time, they said that women were paid less than men. And you know, I know that in some enterprise, in some companies, you know, there's waves a little bit at Microsoft and at Google, by the way, about this. Apparently, some women inside Microsoft, inside Google, at different levels, are a little complaining, saying that, yeah, it's not totally fair. So, you know, yeah, Atawahinta, nice to have you here, and absolutely. There were some great women founders of everything technology and in science and everything. I mean, just some great women out there that did amazing things, I can tell you that. But of course, if it's a question of you know, simply the salary is not the same, yeah, we gotta fix that. You know, I think it is honest that for the same job, the same work, you should have the same pay, and there shouldn't be a difference because you're a man, you're a woman, you're black, you're yellow, you're white, you're red, you're whatever, you're gay, you're not. There shouldn't be at all a difference for the same type of work. That, honestly, that's for sure. I do believe that in some cases, yes, it goes a little far, but like everything. And sometimes you got to remember, guys and girls, that sometimes we have to go a little overboard in order to get what we should have. Look at through time. Every time people complain about something, often it was fixed because we didn't just ask for it. We had to go overboard and ask more to get it eventually to come just right. So, you know, and I think for the same job, people should be the same thing. So it's just kind of interesting. And interesting study. So, yeah, we're talking about this share sales because it's part of the IT, women and men There's a study about IT and women that work in IT, and I think it's important to talk about it. We're always talking about the fact that there's not enough women in IT departments. There's not enough women going into computer technology. Well, one of the things you got to do is we need to fix that also. Honestly, it's crazy. So, okay, will robots take over your job? Will robots be dominating the world? Interesting. That's also a study that came out. It's a study that looks at the future of the job market. And of course, the future of the job market right now, and the future of the job market, I can say that a lot of people are scared, saying, "Oh, there's the robots coming. There's all of these, self-driving cars and stores with no cashiers, or you'll go into a Walmart, there won't be anyone. You'll just pick up the stuff, and it's all going to be computerized." And I don't know. And so, of course, one of the things that happens when you start thinking about this is, yeah, but all the jobs are going to be lost. And basically, all the jobs are going to be lost. The study started looking at this and saying that there will be job losses. There will be some jobs that will have a tendency to see robots or computers taking over a little bit, but they say just because of the nature of human beings, and they say that they see it right now because, for example, here in Montreal we have a lot. I'm sure you guys have some in your neck of the woods. These stores that, for example, if I go to the grocery, there's one grocery store not far here. I can go to the cashier that will, scan the items and tell me it's this much and so much. But on the there's one side of the grocery store where it's checkout, automatic checkout. So it's basically you go there by yourself, you scan your items yourself, put them in a bag, and there's nobody there except in case you need help. So there are things like that are happening. Look at Amazon that will, that are opening stores with no one in there, that you just get in, pick up what you want, and get out. Or so there's tons of these little things happening. And one of the things that is that study looked at is how this will impact the job market in reality. And that study seems to give a better outlook than a lot of people think. Because one of the things they said is that people have a tendency to go where people are. So, for example, yes, some people will be attracted by a Amazon style, store that might not have anybody there, but most people will rather go to one with human beings helping you out and talking to you. And they say that it is not that the amount of jobs lost by the robots, the computers, the AI, and everything is not going to be as big as we foresee. And that most of the time it will be more of a most of the time it would not, it would be something that will be added to help people, but not necessarily remove someone from the workplace. So, we're not all the same. I personally would love, maybe not always, but honestly, and I'll be very honest with this, when I take a cab, when I take a taxi, I hate it. I hate it when the taxi driver talks to me. I'm in my bubble and I just want to, I just want to basically be in the cabin, just drive. I want you to drive, and especially because often it's like very boring conversation. So, I would be probably the first one that would like, oh, there's a self-driving taxi right now. I'm going to take that one because, it's not going to talk to me. And please, I don't want to have a talking taxi. And, just, hey, I want to go there. I'm going to go, whatever. I take a taxi from time to time. And I would be one of those that probably would enjoy a self-driving taxi with no one in it. But, not everywhere. It's not everything that I would like to see that. And honestly, I'm sure that a lot of people would prefer having a driver in the taxi. They'd feel better with that, I trust technology enough that I would trust a self-driving taxi, but I know a lot of people would not. So, it's crazy things. Hey, Albert Zappa, nice to have you here. Nice to have you here. Sam Gibson says, will the man robot get paid more than the woman robot? Well, that will depend if you decide to put gender on robots. If you do that, I think you're a little messed up. Gender robots. Well, here is our female robot and our male robot. I can see some situations where it's actually not the place we're going to talk about it, where probably some people would have and like to have male or female robots for some reason that we will not talk about here. David Mitchell, nice to have you here. Pretty cool. So it's interesting, and apparently we have to not put that future too bleak. I was at the bar a couple of weeks back, and we started talking. There was this guy talking about how the technology of the future is going to mess with the the job market. And I said, you know what, in the past, in the 50s and the 60s, like I always say, we were a country making things, like the United States. We were making stuff and selling them around the world. It's not that anymore. There's almost nothing that's made in our respective countries. But the job market's still there. There's still a lot of people working. Everything is shifting towards other types of jobs, simply. So, I'm not that scared about the future of technology, honestly. I don't think so, So, well, I'm sure, Devil's Drill, you will be able to date a robo girl. I'm pretty sure. It's going to do that, for those that have seen the Futurama episode where Amy and Bender have they have robo-sexual encounters, and they start doing these ads and everything, like, this is bad, robo-sexual encounters should not happen. So I guess someday we're going to be there for sure. Okay, MyFitnessPal. Anybody uses that website to track everything you do for your jogging and your sports and everything? 150 million accounts have been hacked. So it contains the names, the emails, and the hashed passwords for your account. So basically, when that happened, change your passwords. If you are using MyFitnessPal, if you're using the same password everywhere, change it everywhere. Hey there, Mr. Volts. Nice to have you here. And basically, another example of so many things happening in these companies. And there's not a lot of details as to how and when and how they did it, but it's kind of one of those mass hackers thing. So basically, hey, how there's more and more cryptocurrency mining going on in phones, and one of the warnings again this week, and it's not the first time there's a warning of this, but now there's more because apparently it's getting more and more serious. So if you have the habit of going to download apps from outside the Google Play Store, more and more apps that you download off of the Google Play Store are basically just infected with cryptocurrency malware. And what happens is that they've seen many cases of your phone getting damaged because of that, because it runs your phone in what is the maximum possible power possible. So it's like using it's like using the phone at the maximum CPU load and everything. Of course, anybody that has noticed, if you play a game that asks a lot off of your phone, you see it becomes warm. So there are more and more cases where some of the phones actually break down because of the heat generated, and all sorts of problems, battery problems and so on. So they kind of break your phone because of the overheating issues that it actually bring. So it's just crazy. And just be careful with whatever happens to your phone when you download from outside the store, because if you're at 100% all the time on your phone, especially, I would probably think that one of the biggest issues is if your phone is running a cryptocurrency mining app, and you are charging the battery at the same time. Imagine it's going to get even warmer. It's like, I could see why your phone might fail or have issues. But this is the world we live in, unfortunately, more and more. And tells us that we better stay within the frame of like the Google Play Store and stuff like that, where it's not 100% sure, because we've seen in the past year how many things went through the Google Play Store. But still, it's better and safer than doing it outside. Well, if there is something in this chat room and in what all the people that I actually see in the chat and in the shows, is that racism is not an issue with the platform and my YouTube channels. I can tell you that. Hey, Windows 10 Spring Careers Update. And I did see something go through about, hey, there's still no name yet. Well, you know what? We think there won't be a name. We're starting to think that it's just going to be called, oh, well, this is the Windows 10. Here's a new version of Windows 10. And basically, that's possible that there's just no name for it. I think it's good anyways. I think they should just give version numbers and stop, And in talking about that, there's of course that side of it that I want to talk, and I think the slide is here, and it's about the future. There's a big reorganization of Microsoft. Even here in Microsoft Canada, some big changes coming. And they started moving things around. So, the future of Windows is going to be different. That we kind of know. What will happen at some point, okay? Now, Windows is still a big chunk of money for Microsoft, but it's a small chunk compared to everything else. And what we are seeing is that they are simply moving to a different type of platform. There's other people, and there's the people that are going to take care of Windows are not the same, and they aren't thinking the same way. If they do have changes, first of all, it's very very simple. The changes are going to be, still far in the future. We're still, it's not going to be next year or in 2 years, but we're starting to see that Microsoft is kind of taking steps in how Windows will be for the future. You gotta, one of the things that you gotta remember is, we're having these 2 versions a year. Companies don't want that, obviously. And even regular users. We are a very unique gang. I mean, those of us here that are on the Insider program and everything, we're a very unique gang. We are the ones that, oh yeah, this is cool, that's a new feature, that new thing, I want to see that, I want to... Yeah, but most people don't want to see anything except they want to have their apps work. They don't want to have 2 bloody updates a year that risks breaking something in their PC, a program, anything. Businesses don't want to have updates like that all the time. So, I think we're at this point where they're looking into the future of how will we bring Windows in the future. Now, I got to say, because some people are saying, hey, what, you talk about the fact that, subscription or something like that. It's not for tomorrow. That's obvious. And it's only speculation. But as we'll go through time, we'll see what's going to happen with Windows exactly. And there will be a change and a transformation. We know also that the Insider program at some point will have some things that will be different because of just the fact that the people that now are at the top of all of this Windows thing are not at all, the ones that were there, like Terry Myerson was a big Windows guy. He was the Windows guy. Apparently he was an asshole, but he made things work and he pushed things through Windows. Now they kind of pushed him out, even though it's not exactly what is said. And the people that are there are people that are not fans of Windows. People that now are at the top of Windows are, okay, so we got to take care of that big thing called Windows now. It's our responsibility. We'll see. We'll let time go. We'll see what happens in the future. We are in a shrinking PC market. And, one of the things, because a lot of people say, oh, well, everybody's got a PC. Don't forget, for one PC running Windows, there are 5 people using something that has another operating system. Android, iOS, a Mac, a Linux machine, whatever. So it's 1 out of 5. It's not, when Windows 95 came out, 9 out of 10 people were using Windows. That was the only thing. And the other 10% were a mix of Mac and Linux stuff. Now today we're not in that market anymore. Windows as an overall, because it's an operating system, is an overall operating system, is a small chunk of the world of operating system. We're really in a different world. And so Windows is part of it. It's still going to be part of it and play a role in it. But it's going to move forward, and we'll see how and what they're going to do eventually to it. But the future of Windows is interesting here, and even before this big reorg, with the shrinking PC market and everything year after year, you got to think at some point of, yeah, okay, what is the future of Windows after all? It's going to be interesting to look at this, for sure. Val says, just a thought, maybe they intentionally avoid version numbers because they promised Windows 10 is the last version of Windows. Yeah. But still, they could, just give it the number, the version number that goes with the time that it was released, like 1803. We'll know that that's March of 2018 and stuff like that. I don't know. Yeah, I really hope they stop. And even the seasons things, the seasons, the spring or fall, or who cares? Who cares? Who cares? It's just crazy. What else do we have? So So you had some freeze on a restart on 7133 green 9227. Kind of weird. Psycantel says doesn't like Mac OS, and I don't want Windows to become a paid service. You know. One thing for sure is that what people don't understand sometimes, and that's also something to think about, because I saw somebody say in one of the comments, well, will Linux take over or so on? No, because the day Windows would stop existing, it means that the market is so small that it ain't going to be replaced by a Mac or by a Linux machine. We will be somewhere else, and and what the future will bring. But it's not for tomorrow. We are. Terry Myerson, just before leaving, said there's 675 million Windows 10 users right now. There is more than 1 billion PCs running Windows. We're not going to have that going away tomorrow. That's obvious. And 90% of businesses are running Windows. Mostly often because it is the way of things for a lot of businesses with the software and the things that they do. The fact that Windows is very customizable, it's giving it an edge in the business. It's not like the Mac computers, but it's going to be interesting. So think about it. People are buying a lot of those low-priced, Chromebooks, stuff like that. We are moving into some really, really something interesting, I gotta say. It's kind of interesting. Yes, there's a dog team in YouTube, absolutely. It's been there for, a couple of months now? So, and of course, Windows 7 end of support. But, yes and no. One of the things, because Green 9227 says Windows 7 end of support. It says, how long do you think it will take for business to change to Windows 10? What will probably happen in 2020 is that Microsoft will have a premium extended security updates for Windows 7 business users. So that means Windows 7 is not dying in January of 2020. It is dying for the consumer market, but the consumer market, still 2 years from now, a lot of it will have moved to Windows 10. But the business side, big companies that have these weird apps or programs that simply don't run on Windows 10, and they want to keep using those, they'll be on some kind, like Windows XP had some extended paid support, a subscription service that the companies pay to continue getting security updates. That will happen with Windows 7 also. But don't expect Windows 7 to have an extended support for regular people. I can tell you that. But the extended support, paid support for business, will be there for sure. Businesses are moving to Windows 10. There is slowly a rollout, but businesses are typically always several years behind all the time. So they are going to move from time to time, and absolutely, like Vault says, absolutely, versions for business users, enterprise versions and everything, the volume licensing and all of that is extremely expensive for businesses. That is totally true. So it's that's something that is, of course, a thing that we don't often see, but but I think it's going to be interesting. I wouldn't be surprised. One of the first change we could see is Windows 10 reverting back to just one big version a year, with the new guys there thinking and looking at what we should do with Windows. for sure. And Windows 8 did die a lot because of no start menu. So anyways, it's going to be interesting to see the future here. Google Chrome, a little talk about Google Chrome, because there's an article, actually I saw it on several websites, an article saying, hey, Google Chrome is snooping on you. And which, I kind of looked at it a little seriously, said, huh? And it all comes from an article that says, oh, well, Google Chrome can scan your files. But after reading it, the article is a little flawed in what it says. And also, one of the senior engineers at Google wanted to put things straight also, saying that, yes, Google Chrome browser can actually scan for files on your PC, but for a very specific reason. What it does is it checks, it doesn't go to your documents folder or pictures folder by default. It only checks specific places in your PC for known malware or cryptocurrency miners and stuff like that. And it's a security thing. Now, somebody said, well, yeah, it scanned documents. Well, if it does, it's because it detected something that it knows might actually have links and other folders like your documents folder. And for that purpose, sometimes it might actually go and check that. But by default, and if you've got nothing in your PC, the only thing it does is check a few little things in your computer where it knows that malware hides. And that's the thing that it does. So, because the article made it seem like, well, Google Chrome is just looking through our files and doing whatever it wants. No, it's not. It doesn't even go to your regular documents in pictures folders unless it finds something and has a reason to go and scan there for malware. So I got to be careful. It's a cool feature, but that article, and I've seen a few times, that article is trying to tell you, well, oh well, we're gonna we're scanning your stuff, and no, not at all. Okay, it's not the way it works. Hey, questions? So I already answered the ones snooping on files. We talked about the Windows future, and I've got only one question officially for today. Let's just check the chat room here. Devil's Drill says, are there new Spectre and Meltdown patches for Windows 10? Yeah, well, there's updates on the Spectre fix in the KB, in the Windows Update catalog. I need to update that video and do a video to tell you guys. So there's a lot of processors that have been fixed for Spectre thanks to the microcode that is within that update in the update catalog. The problem is it's a manual update, so you got to get it manually. I don't remember off my top of my head the KB number for that article, that update. Fixes several generations. As for the Meltdown, well, it's already fixed. Meltdown is already patched in every version of Windows, so there's no problem with the Meltdown one. It's only Spectre, and actually today we learned that Intel, a lot of the older CPUs that they wanted to fix, are finally not going to be fixed. Do you have to go crazy with that? Well, I don't think so. There's mitigation things that are happening within the browsers and that are kind of lowering the risk of. Then again, it's not a zero risk, but I don't think we have to go too crazy on that either. And as time goes by, of course, things gonna be very kind of interesting. With that, but and still no what was I about to say? I was about to say something, but I forgot. So anyways, yeah, that is, they are kind of working on it, the vaults, by the way. trying to lower the risk of, you know, malicious extensions and stuff like that. They are with each version, and I know the next version is going to have more power for that type of thing, because one of the it's not just a Chrome problem. I think it's a problem of every browser, that malicious extensions could be added to the browser, which is you know, I personally think that without, you know, have like Chrome as an extension store, I personally think no software installed on your PC should be able to put an add-on in any browser. That should not be allowed, because how many times people got fooled by some weird thing and, oh, this looks cool, and then you got, you know, 3 extensions that do weird things to your PC, and you're like, yeah, no. So it's but, you know, they should, they're cleaning they started cleaning the Chrome extension store. They are removing all the things that do cryptocurrency mining, but, you know, that should be much more controlled, first of all, whatever extension is there. And there should be simply, you can't install from outside any extensions, and that should be for every browser, because it is a big problem, absolutely. So, you know, no problem, Green9227. So, but, you know, Tim, doesn't matter if there's no new BIOS for your Gigabyte motherboard. If you've got the manual KB patch for Spectre, you're okay. So you don't need to have a BIOS update to be fixed for Spectre. Virtually 2, yeah, technically it scans for it and is there to remove it. It scans for specific types of malware that it knows can be in some parts of your of your PC, and apparently will remove the malware from that spot. So it's kind of a cool thing, I think, for them. Sims Forever Play, hi there, nice to have you here. Radioactive, nice to have you on board. Google snooping, never. Well, we could talk about other types of snooping for Google, that's for sure. So, yeah, kind of, Tim, but it's not totally perfect. You can still have add-ons from the outside going into it. So, you know. Well, it says, from what I understand, it's often the case where bad actors buy abandoned plugins and release malicious new versions that get auto-updated. Yeah. There's a lot of bad stuff going there for sure. So, you know. Yes, please do, Radioactive. Of course, that sounds totally safe. Man. So, you know. Yes, that would probably be a good, yes, absolutely, for a noodle soup of some sort. Yeah, absolutely. Then you're all right, Tim. You don't need any BIOS update. You are patched. And you're okay. One question today, which is Quad 9 versus Cloudflare 1.1.1.1 DNS, and what it means, and what it, you know, why should you use one over the other, and why should you, anyways, just change your local domain name server address in your router or your computer. And so, okay, I thought we'd just talk about it a little bit. So when you go on the internet and you do nothing, you just use your internet service providers before I start, I'm going to answer Bobby Burgess' question. So all Windows machines up to a certain point can be patched, Bobby Burgess, but it's manual. It's not something you get through Windows Update. So as long as you don't do it manually, you're not patched because Microsoft actually explained why they can't push it, because since a lot of PCs don't have a fix yet, older PCs mainly, they are giving you the option to download it manually for if your CPU is fixed. But not all Windows machines will be patched, because if you have a 5, 6, 7-year-old machine, there's a good chance that that KB manual download will not patch your system, because the Intel did not do any microcode to fix the Spectre flaw. And today Intel kind of said that a lot of the older stuff, they're not going to do it. Meaning a lot of people are not going ever to have the Spectre fix. But mostly for those that have, say, a computer that's more than 5 years old. There will be some patch, but some will not be patched in there. And once again, it's a manual download. You got to do it manually. It's not a automatic download. Very important. So DNS. Okay, so when you at the most basic level are on a go on the internet. So you got an IP, which is your specific, unique address that you have on the web that identifies you. Then you have another thing, which are the DNS servers, which is basically when you search for information on the web. The thing is that you need to resolve. There's a server that will resolve the website where it is on the internet, and that comes through the DNS server. So this is going to usually be given to you by your internet service provider, which has its own DNS servers. And so when you search for Google, it goes through the servers at your ISP, looks up Google, where's Google? Okay, that's where it's Google, and it sends you through to the Google page. And now this is a very simplified way of explaining it, by the way. So that is from your ISP. Now, there are a few reasons why you want to use maybe somebody else's DNS, because you can change that. You can change your DNS, your domain name server address, to another service, which means you use the queries and the search for your websites from another server, from another company somewhere else. The reasons why you would want to change one from your own internet service provider with another one, it could be because of speed. Some internet service providers are not as good as others to provide fast information, because basically what happens is that when you search for Google, usually it's fast because they keep kind of a list of the most common searches, the most common websites. Google will always be on the top of the list. But if you search for more obscure websites, or if you search for certain things that don't come up regularly, it might not be within the list. So what happens is that your internet service provider will query another server on the internet and say, hey, do you know that website? How do you go there? And that server, and sometimes 2-3 servers further, will send back the information. And of course that means it takes a longer time for you to actually get your website. So by using a bigger server company, say Cloudflare has a lot of bandwidth. One also is OpenDNS, which is one of the big ones also. What happens is that these have a bigger list of what you could find over the web. And because of that, a lot of the websites that take longer maybe on your own ISP take less time on somebody else's DNS server, because it has more information, more detailed information of how to reach that website. So there's one thing like that. There might be it might be actually a little faster to basically get it from another website. So that might be one reason. Another reason, a lot of DNS servers, a lot of companies that run DNS servers add security around it. So all sorts of things. For example, I used OpenDNS for years on clients' computers for a very simple reason. When somebody was telling me, I don't want my kids to see porn, well, I would set up an account, a free account on OpenDNS, put the DNS servers of OpenDNS, and that would enable me over there to, for example, add, adult content filters. And that would be better than just adding some kind of software on the PC, because kids today are a little smart and they can often say, oh, well, that's how it's done. But when you start doing things like, doing it on the DNS level, changing the DNS servers in a router, that's where kids are kind of, I don't understand why I can't see, xxx.com or something. So I would use that for that purpose, honestly. And so there's that side to it. Another one is Quad 9. Quad 9, I've been using Quad 9 for a little while now, because Quad 9 has another layer that's interesting. Quad 9 has kind of a filter of all the websites that are known to distribute malware or bad stuff, and it tries to remove them from any search results or from from you to connect to them. And so it kind of cleans up or lowers the risk of you getting caught with some bad stuff. So Quad 9 has that promise, and I've been using Quad 9 for a while. Works fine. So now we have one that was announced this Sunday, and I am actually using it right now because I want to try it out. It's 1.1.1.1. It's by Cloudflare, and they actually had an interesting side to it. First of all, they say they're the fastest in the world. Okay, is there going to be a real difference in, I haven't seen any difference. I haven't seen any difference here. Honestly, in the speeds. But one of the things that is interesting about 1.1.1.1 is that it adds encryption, end-to-end encryption of everything you go check out on the web, into a point where your internet service provider actually doesn't even know where you're going on the web. And that is nice, because that's one thing that a lot of people don't know. Your internet service provider snoops on you, knows everything you do. By using 1.1.1.1, it actually encrypts everything, the queries you do and everything, which means your ISP doesn't know anymore where you're going because of that, because it always uses HTTPS in there. Also, the 1.1.1.1 DNS from Cloudflare has another interesting aspect to it. And so not only is it encrypted, but it doesn't keep track of anything you go for. So if you go and see a website, it doesn't keep a record of what you asked for and where you went to. It's one of the only ones that doesn't keep any traces, any tracking of what you did. And the reason why they're doing that, hey Ripple Pros, nice to have you here. Thanks for the Easter cards, e-cards, very nice. So basically the thing is, your ISP, knowing everything you do by using and keeping track of everything you do. When you use 1.1.1.1, there's no tracking. and they're not keeping information. And the reason why is they're not. It's not that business. They're not making money off of that. Cloudflare doesn't make money off of user info. It has a different business model, so it doesn't really care about what you do. It doesn't really want to know what you do. It doesn't use it to sell it, so it doesn't keep track of it, simply, which is kind of nice. And it's pretty cool. And by the way, for I didn't see I think it's Devil's Drill that was saying update your BIOS. Not 80% of the BIOSes don't update even with the Spectre flaw, and the best way to update is with the Microsoft's manual download of the microcode for fixing Spectre flaw on your CPU, because honestly 80 to 90% of all the motherboards and all the computers out there are not going to get an update for the BIOS at all for that Spectre flaw. So anyways, what's better? It depends. I'm testing out 1.1.1.1 for now. We're going to see what happens, and basically, hopefully, can I say one is better than the other? It depends. No tracking, encryption, 1.1.1.1 is kind of nice. Lowering your chances of bad, ransomware or malware of all sorts. 9.9.9.9, quad 9 that they call. It's up to you. Maybe you want to keep using the same DNS that your internet service provider is using. It's kind of interesting. So, and anyways, you know what? Devil's Drill about the BIOS update. That's not counting that 99% of the people have no idea how to update a BIOS. So that's why the KB download of microcode is much, much easier to do for most people than a BIOS update. And so your machines got updated, but most machines, I got 6-7 machines here, none of them will have a BIOS update. And none of them have had a BIOS update. And this is going to be the case of a lot of people. A lot of people will not get those. So that's why the download from Microsoft for the fix is the best thing that can happen. Actually, Microsoft, it's very, very nice for Microsoft to do it, because it really, really simplifies patching Spectre for a lot of people. So, hey, we're at show number, I didn't change the number here. We're at show 111 and not 110. And anybody has anything to say, anything to comment, any questions before we slowly turn things away? This is annoying me. I'm gonna go here and restart so that people see the right number 111. So yeah, that's also the case. Vault says, beside the fact that the BIOS update, even if it goes well, can work worse than the other older version. It can, you can have a buggy BIOS version. So that can create all sorts of problems. When a BIOS, and that's also something that I rarely will mention to update. It's that when your BIOS and your computer is super stable, it's tricky. Thinking, oh well, I'm going to update my BIOS to the latest version. Well, your computer is really stable. I'm not sure you want to do that, honestly. I'm not a big fan of updating for updating. I'm a big fan of updating to fix things, or update because there's a security flaw and you got to update. But when everything works well, I'm not a big fan of updating anything. because you never know. You never know what's going to happen. And you know, and the BIOS is something that you know, it's not a big chance, but there's that chance that something could happen that you know, oh, didn't update well, and now you got a bricked computer almost, you know. So and for BIOS, most of the time it is that, you know. I updated my BIOS on my laptop that I use here with the latest version when it was available a couple of years back, for one simple reason: the USB 3 ports. The USB 3 ports were crashing on some hardware, and it was totally BIOS driven. Once the update was done on the BIOS, there was no more crash on the USB 3 ports. So yeah, you know, and that's why I find the fact that Microsoft's you know, offer of getting that update through Microsoft Update Catalog is fantastic. Much simpler, and it fixes just one thing: the microcode for the Spectre flaw, and that's it. So, you know, basic input output something. I like that. Oh man. So what else? Anything else? Anything that anybody wants to? You know what I hate about those things? Like you know, Patrick Manny says Dell makes BIOS updates very easy through the Support Assist program, but that's also something I don't like. I don't like companies that put assistance, because like we just said, you might not want to update that BIOS, and these assistants are annoying because they do it. They want you to do it, which is not always the best thing to do, you know. I've never liked the automatic process of updates, you know. So many times I had a driver update, and it's like, oh, okay, that driver broke my Wi-Fi adapter, you know, stuff like that. So my skip ahead, David Walker, is going fun. We're going to talk about it a little. With we're gonna talk about it in the Insider Show, and in 40 minutes. Actually, I'll have only that computer plugged there, but it's seems to work well. Seems to work well for now. It's very, you know. So yeah, Windows 10 has the stock microcode update. Yeah, it just doesn't update to the latest version of the microcode needed. Absolutely. So it's manual, but still, you know, you get annoyed every time you look at it. It says, "Oh, you want this, you don't want that." It's always something I didn't. You know, I've never, as a tech guy, I don't like that type of thing. I understand for most people, it makes it so simple. You know, so simple. Well, Gribble Pearls, first you got to understand that the plumber is there to deal with the plumbing. So you got to stop, you know, acting womanly with the plumber, and, you know. Oh, God. Yep. I show my backside, and I dance naked on my chair. That's all you missed, Ripple Pearls. So apart from that, I've been having April the 10th is the release of Redstone 4, or you know, version 18.03, or Spring Creo's update, or whatever you want to call it. Will it be on that day on your computer? That's another story, because it depends on the telemetry that your computer sent back. If everything is okay according to them, you'll get it on April 10th, sometime during the day. I would Uh, the the Winter says, or she could act very womanly with the plumber, and the toilet might get fixed. Absolutely, that's possible. Sometimes, sometimes it works. Oh yeah, the famous butt crack from plumbers, and electricians, usually butt crack time. I always miss the good stuff. Oh God. So, anyways, apart from that, I had a very, very busy week here. Got to say, I've been going crazy, and kind of winding down a little bit now, just taking it easy. But it's gonna be a busy next few days. I've got the shows today. I've got the radio show tomorrow. Another radio show Saturday. I'll be part of the International Radio Report show on CKUT 90.3 FM here in Montreal with Sheldon Harvey Sunday morning at 10:30. I'm planning to be there if I can every 2 weeks, and I'll kind of try to insert a little segment on shortwave. So it's just crazy. Well, you know what, Tawahita? I believe in the same thing. When using a man's way makes things go faster or better, I certainly agree that why not? It. I've used my man's way a little bit sometimes to get things done. So and I can be very, very nice and extremely courteous and Boss says, can't really watch the shows live anymore. Loads of work. Need to go to sleep at a reasonable time. Yeah, work. That thing that gets in the way of everything. But that is needed because we need to make money. And I need to take a little more time. I've been taking a little more time recently. I've been trying to take a little more time to myself, doing a few things. Just a few little things that are happening that are kind of interesting in my life, and which I will not go into details, but I don't know, it feels good, that's all I'm going to say. Yep. I've always... I remember, at Tawahinta talking about using womanly ways and so on. I remember being with some friends and a few girlfriends, and we were talking about things, and one of the girls there, said, well, today I wore, a low-cut dress because I was going at a meeting, and every time I go there, the guy is kind of, a little turned on, and it always makes the meeting a lot better because he always is very, very, very nice. And the other girl there said, well, you shouldn't do that, and I would just zip up and keep it up to the collar, and it's like, he doesn't have to see my boobs and blah blah blah. And it was like two-way of thinking, and I was like, wow. I looked at her and said, well, if I'd have boobs, I'd probably just wear something, not being a slut or anything, but wear something that will help me in certain situations, probably. And I told her, I said, I used to work at a place where I knew if I wore my really tight jeans, I would have a little more business. And so I told her, I said, I had absolutely no problem just being sexy to attract business. As long as it stays, at a certain level, of course. But I was like, I don't see any problems with that. And it was like, yeah, well, you're a man. Well, I said, No, I even if I was a woman, I would probably, use my, what I have to kind of get what I want. Always maintaining, a level where you don't cross the line. But I don't see a problem with that. I never saw a problem with that, honestly. It's like, yeah, So it's like, Your girl says, these were the same guys that cut my cable line before and left me without cable and internet for 8 whole days. Well, okay, they're kind of bad guys. Devil's drill. So it's like, that's not a good plumber. He's cutting your stuff. As Hinta says, I use that technique in court to distract the opposition. Man, you are so easy. Men just are men. They easily get distracted by beautiful things. So it's like it's just funny. It's the way the world works. It's like why not? I mean, as long as there's a certain level, there's always a line where you don't cross. But why not? Why not? So hey, everybody. Oh, the plumbers are good as the assistant that cut on the cable lines. Wow, that's good. That's professionalism for you. So, hey everyone, I'm going to take a little 30-minute break, and we will be back in the Windows Insider show on the Insider channel. Hope you guys enjoyed today's show. Somebody asked a question about my radio shows, I think. What are your radio shows tomorrow and Saturday? Oh, they are shortwave radio shows on the... I've got a channel called the Official SWL channel where we talk about amateur radio, shortwave radio, and radio in general. So there will be tomorrow and Saturday. I'm not sure of the topics yet. Probably we'll have software-defined radio special maybe on Saturday. We'll talk about that a little bit. So anyways. Tim says we don't get distracted, we are always on the subject. Yeah, wasn't there a study that said men think about sex like every 5 minutes or so? Which in my case is not far from the truth. It's just funny. So take care, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the show this week. And wow, an hour and a half just goes on so fast. And hey, we will be probably in the full swing of the Spring Careers Update next week. So that's going to be interesting, I'm sure. Thanks everybody for being here. And Windows Insider Hour coming up in 30 minutes. We'll fire up the skip ahead and look at the skip ahead build a little bit today. So can somebody post a link to my shortwave radio channel for Vera Kelly too, please? It would be very nice if anyone could do this for me. So thanks everybody for being here, being great fans. Always fun to have all of you on board. You guys are great, and see you in 30 minutes for those that will follow me through the Insider Show. See you next week for show number 112 for the Tech Show. Stay safe. Love you all. You are great, and love you all the time, everyone. Stay safe, please. Have a great week. Bye-bye.